on a mission. No sweat in the way I step. I got a fresh new attitude. Oh my, my, my. Oh my, my, my. Call me a king, you can buy me a crown. Oh my, my, my. Oh my, my, my. I'm leveled up, and this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. New look, got the ladies shook. New watch saying it's my time. These magazines wanna feature me, cause they know I'm on the rise. Get the attention, I'm on a mission. Cause ever since I flipped that switch, my power can't be denied. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. Call me a king, you can buy me a crown. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. I'm leveled up, and this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. Get the attention, I'm on a mission. Man with a vision. Got a passion, making it happen. Ready for action. And this is my world now. This is my world now.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Our family started RVing a few years ago, and when I think about all those campfires and fishing trips and sporting events, these are memories that are going to last a lifetime. I want to help others do the same thing. Hi, I'm Kevin Smith, General Manager at the all-new Click It RV in Milton Freewater. People in this community are very familiar with this location and the great service they've always received. So the biggest question we get is, where is Keith? The great news is, Keith is still here.
I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Through all the changes that we have seen, one thing that has not changed for us is the quality of our service.
Buying an RV is a big purchase, but it should be a fun and happy experience. So whether it be in sales or service or parts, our mission is simple: be the best. From our team here at Click It RV in Milton Freewater, we invite you to come down and experience the difference.
Welcome to on LSRTV on network, casting with round number of the North 4 Cups. Say that round is on the streets of Chicago. It is the Chicago Street Race, 45 laps. We're looking forward to it. I'm excited for this one as you check out Chris White trying to sweep the week if you can. Indianapolis on Lee Outland is along. Charles Wooten is back. Fingers crossed, legs crossed, eyes crossed. Well, Jason can't be because it was a problem calling the rally. Everything will work broadcast wise. Our buddy Charles has been having some technical woes for a little bit lately. But on the streets of Chicago. Jason, can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, we're out here in Chicago. I mean, this is just such an interesting course, to say the least, Wesley. I mean, from iRacing brought into the real world, I mean, talk about video games becoming a crucial part in the racing world nowadays. I mean, it's just so interesting to see how far this has come from being something that the city of Chicago, iRacing, and NASCAR talked about with iRacing, and then obviously as of this year bringing it on to the Xfinity Series and Cup Series schedule. So it's absolutely amazing to be seeing these cars, and just in general, anything we see here at this track, it should be a fun one to call tonight.
Yeah, we're street racing on the roads of Chicago here tonight, and right now checking out the final minutes of qualifying for those that are watching. If you're listening on Radio Land with CRN, we got to paint a picture for you. Robert Gamble right now, the top of the board, 132.1012 seconds for Robert Gamble. Sean Brightsman in finally that chroma key Earnhardt throwback to the 1997 Winston. He is, of course, second right now after struggling mightily in the practice run. We now see Stephen Paulison for Aerokinetics and his iRacing 58 Chevrolet Impala working his way around the 12-turn streets of Chicago.
Yeah, this is a very technical course. You know, I myself have not gotten a chance to drive this course yet, but you can just see right there, hard braking zone with these Gen 4 stock cars. Obviously, left-hander down into one. Then you're going to take another sweeping right-hander down into turn number 2. File out down this long straightaway, kind of wrapping around the fountain. Right-hand side coming up here. One of the most technical parts here of the racetrack where you're going to have to start slowing down right before you even get out of the corner. Right-hander goes from really wide to very narrow 3-lane road intersection. Right-hander down this long straightaway all the way until this left-hander right here before you get to this bridge. You see hard braking zone right there at the eNASCAR 4 marker. Left-hander for Stephen Paulison wraps back out to the outside wall over the bridge. He'll make the right-hander here to set himself up down Michigan Avenue here in just a second. Then you're going to take that right-hander right near the stair set here, Grant Park, and then right there, left side, hugging that wall, right up against it. You want to make sure you're not overshooting this corner because you will hit this wall here on Michigan Avenue in a hurry, right against the McDonald's billboards. Right-hander back over the bridge from Michigan Avenue, and then you'll take another right-hander, Wesley, all the way down to the start-finish line.
Yeah, that's right. Turn number 1 is where the drivers will hang a left onto East Balboa Drive, heading towards Lake Michigan, as we right now watch Stephen Paulison working that way from the start-finish line to turn 1. Turn 2, to again paint a picture for this 12-turn course. Drivers will then turn left onto southbound lanes of DuSable Lakeshore Drive, hurtling towards the museum campus with the Field Museum ahead of them and the softball fields at Grant Park on their right. From there on, it's on to turn number 3 as we look at Ryan Bloom work around the racetrack, and he gets ready to qualify now. Turn 3 is a slow right-hand curve in front of Field Museum. Will mark the 3rd turn on the track. Turn 4 is, of course, where drivers will hang a 90-degree on East Roosevelt Road at the southernmost point of the circuit. Normally, we're turn 4, 5, and 6 kind of meet together at 8. Not on the other side of the course where they were earlier. They're on another part of the track. But then they go to turn 5, South Columbus Drive. Then they go to turn 6. Part of the race on to a left on East Balboa Drive, where we mentioned right where turn 1 is located. Then you got turn number 7, which, by the way, Ryan Bloom is back at turn 1, 131.307 seconds. I think they're going to give him another lap. No, he's done. Turn 7 is a right-hand turn on the South Michigan Avenue. We'll send the drivers heading back towards the north, and it's representing one of the most challenging track. Turn number will follow the Congress plat, beginning a sweeping chicane that will take to B. Wells Drive. Then we go into turn number 9. This turn will be located in front of Buckingham Fountain and will send drivers back left, back toward Michigan. And again, Jason onto Michigan Avenue. Turn 11 on East Jackson Drive, near the famous Lines of Art Institute of Chicago at the intersection of Michigan and Jackson. And finally, turn 12 puts the drivers on the front straightaway, sitting them to the right and back down Columbus Drive for the long straightaway back to the start-finish line. That's a lap around the Chicago Street Race Course, and they're going to go, Jason, 45 times as we see Frank Harris go back to the start. 40 track tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see, obviously, now as we get ready to go, I believe, to the race session here. It's coming to a close. Sean Brightsman was the fastest right there in practice, but this is a very technical course, Wesley, we talk about. And honestly, talk about a street course where a lot of people are like, I don't know if this is going to work. NASCAR had to deal with the weather with their race weekend here. And man, despite the weather, they knocked this thing out of the park. I mean, this course is beautiful. It runs just like every street course. A lot of street drivers and street people, obviously from racing backgrounds, said, hey, this is a very whack kind of looking layout, but it works and it looks really good. So it's going to be interesting to see these Gen 4 cars here tonight.
And it is go time here on the streets of Chicago. Let's give you your starting lineup. Sean Brightsman in that chroma key number 46 Earnhardt throwback car will be on the pole. Ryan Bloom in the Monster Energy car, flanked to his outside in row number 1. Row 2, Frank Harris in the 11. Campbell will start 4, and Gen4 5th.
Yeah, and then your next set of rows here, you have Stephen Paulson there in this row right here, along with Gary Nichols in the number 8 machine, and then rounding out the field tonight, you have Toby Ritters and William Fletcher there in the 28 machine, rounding out row number 5.
And by the way, I don't think if you mentioned the Cat Band in the 336th position outside row number. Field will at least make one around the racetrack. The Flues for 40 laps here tonight at street race here.
Yeah, and this is going to be a really interesting, obviously, race to say the least. These guys are going to be having themselves a handful barreling it down into turn 1, then trying to get kind of double wide. By the time they hit turn number 2, then you go through the long straightaway all the way down South Lakeshore Drive, then to that right-hander we talk about narrowing up huge from about a 4 to 5 lane all the way down to a 2 to 3 lane. And heck, you're lucky if you can make it too wide there. So a lot of guys in the Cup and Xfinity race here just a handful of weeks ago being not really able to go double wide there. It's possible, but man, is it tricky. This course in general, Wesley, is very, very tricky, especially when you get to the point around Grant Park for sure.
I'm trying to find out if there are technical issues on my end or on the video, but we're okay. Well, listen, Jason, wait for just a moment to make an internet adjustment, and I'll be right back with you.
Sounds about good. And we're getting ready to go. So this is going to be interesting to see, obviously, with these cars ready to go. We went from Phoenix just a couple weeks ago. Now we head to the Chicago Street Course. Last week we went to Atlanta, which was interesting to say the least. And these guys are getting ready to go here for 45 laps. I believe there will be one competition caution at some point. So we'll have to see how this goes as they come around 8 and 9 back to 10. You have Sean Brightsman, Ryan Bloom, Frank Harris, Robert Gamble, Chris White, Stephen Paulson, James Vining, Toby Ritters, Gary Nichols, William Fletcher, who currently is not on the racetrack right now. So as of this moment, 9 drivers ready to go this time by here as they head over the bridge, heading down East Jackson Drive, heading to turn 12 this time by. Through number 12 they go. The pace car is going to duck in. Gen 4 cars on the streets of Chicago. This time by. Green flags in the air. We're racing in the Gen 4 series. Down into turn 1 they go. Sean Brightman hard on the brakes is Frank Harris. 3 wide down into turn number 1. Hill's trying to make it wide. Not enough. Brightsman gets away with the race lead with Ryan Bloom in tow. And now down to turn number 2, right-hander Bloom trying to take the top spot away from Brightsman. And the 8 machine, Gary Nichols hard into the wall right there, down the straightaway on South Lakeshore Drive. Not enough to bring out any sort of yellow flag Hard contact, though, to the right front fender. Meanwhile, back up at the front. Oh, hard contact right there for, I believe that was Chris White in the 47. Big contact off turn number 5 down the straightaway on South Columbus Drive. Major contact to the right side of that machine.
And hopefully you guys can hear me a lot better now. We're in the opening lap of this race with Sean Brightsman up in front. Ryan Bloom second, Robert Gamble third. And again, you know, Jason, as they work their way up the course, halfway to turn number 5 and 6, this is where turn 1 meets. Sean Brightsman struggled in practice, quickly up in the front. Ryan Bloom right there in tow, but honestly, we're seeing a lot of cars slam and bam off the wall. Thank goodness that they're getting multiple fast repairs tonight.
Yeah, for sure, because this is just such a technical course, Wesley. You can't really, you know, obviously do much about it. I mean, this track is just, it's so technical. That's really the only word I could say. And you got to remember, it's a street course. It's not a road course. So these turns, these, you know, degrees with banking and stuff. I mean, I know there's no banking, but, you know, the way that they elevate the feeling. This is all scanned on iRacing. So this is how this track was prior to the reskin and whatnot. So, I mean, you feel all those bumps down South Lakeshore Drive like you would in real life, in your own street car, like you and I would. So this track, it is very hard to drive. These guys are in for a handful tonight, and they got 44 laps more to do it.
Yeah, 44 laps to go with Sean Brightsman, Ryan Bloom, Robert Gamble, James Vining, and Stephen Paulison right now, the top 5. There's Chris White, the Indianapolis winner on Monday night. A dominating performance for the CW Media number 47, Willie's Addicted Barbecue entry. And right now, he is way in the back, Jason, struggling here on the Chicago street course, now in 9th.
Yeah, he had a hard hit right there out of turn number 5 just on the opening lap. And he definitely had to come in, probably took a fast repair right there, to say the least. So, I mean, hard contact for Chris White, but that's the thing we're going to be talking about. You're going to want to make sure that you're not making too many mistakes due to this being a street course. Because, Wesley, another thing about street courses compared to the road courses, you notice something? No runoff areas out of these corners. So these guys have little, and I mean little, error to make here tonight.
Yeah, you understanding that it's been fastest lane 31.69. The driver original Washington, Arizona for the number 6. Jason, I'm going to reset my.
Well, we have lost Wesley Outland for the time being, folks. And a big crash. Toby Ritter's Frank Harris hard into the turn 4 barriers right there. Not too sure what that was all about. Don't know if somebody overshot the corner. Looking at race notes, here we go. Looking at the LSRTV replay down into turn number 4. Here they go. They were coming through turn number 2. This is when they're going to be heading down South Lakeshore Drive. You see Frank Harris gets a little bit better exit than the 23 machine of Toby Ritter's. And down South Lakeshore Drive, all the way into this corner. Here we go. And, oh, man, Toby Ritter's just overshoots the corner, collects Frank Harris. Nowhere for him to go. And that's what we were talking about with, obviously, these guys having little room for error. No room to make any sort of mistakes. But down the straightaway, obviously, Sean Brightsman still leading, and mind you, too, winner of one of the road courses just this year for the Northwest Click It RV Fixed Series. Back at Mid-Ohio, was able to hold off a few guys. Won his 3rd race of the season, I believe it was. Had a dominant performance there. Had used some strategy, obviously. And so far, out to a 2 3/4 of a second lead. It was 4 seconds. So the gap dwindling down just a bit. Lots of guys, though, already having to take some fast repairs early on in this race. Toby Ritter's, James Vining, Chris White, Frank Harris, So this is just going to be a battle of survival here as this race goes on. And look at right there, Ryan Bloom into the wall, overshot the corner, left front into the wall. Looks like there is some damage on the left front of that car. That thing's banged up pretty good. And let's see if he hits it again. He will not. He'll get through turn number 10 just fine. The right-hander down 11, down East Jackson Drive. Over the bridge for Ryan Bloom. We'll have to see if he comes into the pits this time by. Possibly takes a fast repair because, man, that left front is killed. He will stay out this time by down the straightaway as he tries to chase down Robert Gamble, who's currently in P number 2. And remember, Robert Gamble, one of the guys here, part of the Northwest Division, was able to formulate the GT3 series that we called just a handful of weeks ago. He is known as a road course guy, won at Spa in the GT3 series just a handful of weeks ago. So he's somebody who could be reckoned with tonight. Toby Ritter's back on track after his incident in turn 4. And he almost has one right there. A little bit of a lockup, obviously. Now heading down 5 and 6. This is down South Columbus Drive, which turns left right against the same barriers as which turn 1 is. So from turns 12 to turns 5, if you go in a straight line with no walls, no tire barriers, you are going all the way down South Columbus Drive. He heads over the bridge in 6 down to 7. You can just see how hard these cars are to drive with the rear of the tires spinning, the high horsepower, obviously. These Gen 4 cars have never touched the street course probably up until this scan of the Chicago street course was done back in late 2020. It was, I believe, or 2021. One of those years, to say the least. eNASCAR iRacing Invitational Pro Series ran here, was debuted. Also with the next gen car before it was debuted. Remember, it was debuted at Darlington for the eNASCAR Invitational Series. Then they came here to the Chicago street course. As you see right there, 58, Stephen Paulson making a pass to get around Toby Ritters. That was not for position. Stephen currently resides in the 4th spot right now. 15 and a half, now 16 seconds back from Sean Brightsman. While Toby Ritter sits 1 lap down in 9th currently. It's all been Sean Brightsman so far with the fastest lap of the race, most laps led. Sean Brightsman's got everything there is here tonight. Winner at Phoenix a couple of weeks ago. Fell just a little bit short at Atlanta last week. So we will have to see how this goes. And you see Stephen Powell?
No, I'm here. Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me?
Go. He's back, folks. He's back.
Now, hopefully it'll work here. I don't know. We had some nasty weather the other night, and I'm wondering if it might have caused a problem for the internet. But no, I don't have Vexus, okay? I'll never go down that road. Poor Charles. It's actually, we'll try to keep going here. But, hey, thanks, Jason, for keeping us caught up right now, buddy. We're on lap number 6 of 45, and Sean Brightsman in the lead, fastest car of the race. Ryan Bloom, you're watching him. He's in 3rd, and for the most part, some thrills, some spills, some crashes I saw there in the earlier stages. I think Toby Ritters and Frank Harris crashed, but right now, looking on board with Ryan Bloom. Look at him flying through this.
Oh, lovely.
No, I'm here. I didn't go nowhere.
Yeah, look at Ryan Bloom, though, man. He's just been so quick here so far tonight. Obviously not his strong suit. He has a little bit of damage on that right front fender, or actually left front fender, I should say. It's a left and right-hander course compared to the usual left turn. They're making a left turn like everybody knows NASCAR for. But, I mean,
hey,
that's
watch
just the thing about this place. Hey, I know. Listen, hey, I'm a right left-hander guy when it comes to the road course stuff. I enjoy me some road course racing. That's the thing. This track's just so technical, so twisty, so turny, if that's even a word. But, you know, I mean, everybody seems to have some kind of damage here tonight.
We have Jasonisms.
Yep, that's what we call them, Jasonisms.
Gary Nichols is on pit road right now. Do you find it ironic they're pitting 7 laps into the race early?
No, because they all have damage. Because they all have damage. Everybody, put it this way. From what I have gathered and what I have seen for the 9 cars that we have on track currently, 8 laps into tonight's 45-lap event, Sean Brightsman, Robert Gamble, and Steven Paulison, as far as I'm concerned, are the only ones who have not had a single bit of contact from what I've seen tonight.
And the interval, about 2.5 seconds from Sean Brightsman and Robert Gamble. There's a look from our aerial coverage, as always, presented by LSRTV. Your home for sim racing. James Vining, the Cat Man. He is the man that created this chaos and mayhem that is the Northwest Gen4 Fun Series Cup Division, Jason.
Yeah, and it's been fun to call these last, 2 weeks, now 3 weeks for what we're going on now. I can't wait to see what the next few weeks bring us and whatnot, but it's going to be fun, this Gen 4 car, being, what we've called it the last 2 weeks. iRacing's, I mean,
mistake.
It's so mistake in disguise. I'm currently messing up my words. It has been a very long day for me. But it's a blessing in disguise. That's what it is. It's their blessing in disguise. And everybody has really liked it. I know that some of these guys who have driven it, like Sean Brightsman, Ryan Bloom, they say the one thing they just like about it is just because of how hard these cars are to drive. 1,000 horsepower underneath the hoods. The amount of rear tire spin with these cars, the brakes locking up. You have little room for error with these cars, and that's why they're considered right now to be one of the hardest, if not the hardest, driving car on the sim.
12 turns here at the Chicago Street Race, and right now, Sean Brightsman, the leader. He's opening it up now to 3.5 seconds on lap number 8 of 45. Somewhere before halfway, am I right, between 25 and 30? Am I right, Charles? Between lap 25 and 30 will be the caution. We just don't know what lap it'll be. So between lap 19 and 28, there will be a competition caution. We just do not know when that will be. And by the way, if you're a fan of street racing, don't forget the Northwest Truck Series presented by Click and RV. Monday night, Jason, we're going road course racing left and right at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. I always enjoy that course.
Oh, yeah. We called a great race for the GT3 series that Robert Gamble and Wesley put on just a few weeks ago. I remember we called that race. My first time calling something other than stock car racing here on iRacing. And next thing you know, we got a photo finish. So that was really fun to call. It's a shame that the Truck Series doesn't go there anymore, too, because, I mean, that place was such a fun racetrack. It seemed like there was drama, chaotic photo finishes every single year. I will still sit here and unbiasedly, even though he's my favorite driver, Ryan Blaney's pass for the win on the last lap against Herman Quiroga there back in 2014. Still the cleanest pass in the final turn you'll ever see there in NASCAR. So that track's so fun to go to, though, on iRacing. Very, very technical with all the twists and turns and uphills and downhills.
Sure.
It should be fun for the Northwest guys on Monday.
Well, be optimistic, because it literally is sounding like that possibly NASCAR might be returning soon to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and I sincerely hope it does happen for sure.
Yeah, it's just such a great track. The fan base up there is amazing. I mean, heck, any Canadian fans up there. I mean, for gosh sakes, I mean, Canada has their own NASCAR series. For up there, for international wise, we have the NASCAR Pinty series. They go to Canadian Tire every year. Every year they put on one heck of a finish there. They do some street racing in Toronto with IndyCar that weekend. They do a lot of stuff, a lot of short tracks up there that a lot of people think that, oh, Canada's Canada. That's right. They don't have the short tracks, but they have a lot of short tracks, man. They have a lot of short tracks. So it's always cool to see the NASCAR Pinty Series being able to put some stuff on there for the Canadian fans. Hopefully we can get up there for the top 3 divisions here pretty soon from what we've been hearing about with all the rumors in 2024.
Sean Brightsman continuing to be the man leading the way. Of course, fast lap 131.569 seconds And again, working now, lap number 10, Robert Gamble in second, Ryan Bloom third. There you see Frank Harris zooming by. He's in the number 6 position right now. And honestly, after some calamity to start things on the street course here at Chicago, Jason, things have kind of simmered down a little bit. We got everybody all scattered amongst the racetrack separate.
Yeah, down to turn 1 in the initial start, it was really big there. You saw it was not Robert Gamble, it was like Ryan Bloom, Sean Brightsman, and Frank Harris dove it down in there 3 wide, made some contact with the 25 machine, and then almost spun out, and it was chaos there for the first lap. And then after about lap 2, lap 3, everything kind of started to simmer down. I mean, with this competition caution we will have here between lap 19 and 28, I believe, we'll see some things, obviously. But, you know, these guys are really just trying to feel out the track right now, trying to learn some more, obviously. Like you see Ryan Bloom, who's got heavy damage to both the right front fender and the left front fender. He's just trying to get around here and learn, man, similar to what everybody else is doing, because like we said, this is just a very tough track.
And that's a good thing, obviously, is what we were talking about. Just kind of gaining experience. This is a new race course. This is something that none of our drivers in the Northwest Series have ever faced before, so they really don't know what it's like. Obviously, gaining experience for sure. And again, James Vining, the man that has created all of this, that is the Catman promoter for the Northwest Gen 4 Cup Fun Series. Obviously, you know, Jason, we've got 2 weeks left of this after tonight, and then we go right back into the race for a championship, and they've got 4 races to the playoffs, and it's crunch time for the drivers of the Xfinity B Series cars.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun time. I can't wait to get back to calling what we all know and love. It's been fun these last few weeks to call something a little differently. But, man, I'm sure these guys like Chris White, Stephen Paulus, and Ryan Bloom, all these guys are just hungry to get behind the wheel, and they're eager to get behind the wheel of those Xfinity Series cars and wheel them and deal them. It's going to be fun because some of the best racing I've seen this year has been with those Xfinity Series cars for the Northwest Click It RV Fix Series. So it's going to be a fun time. I look for Sean Brightsman to continue his dominance, but I'm also looking for people to also, you know, continue their dominance as well. You know, Dan West Jr. and Devin West. I think Toby Ritters might be able to break out and get a couple top 5s, maybe even a win possibly. Chris White's been very strong as well. We all know Ryan Bloom is Ryan Bloom, nevertheless. And obviously some more guys, you know, to mention too. So it's going to be a really fun time. I can't wait to see those cars start back up and get back to digging in the Xfinity cars.
We're in the virtual streets of Chicago. And let's be honest, Jason, if you remember the Chicago street race for NASCAR held back earlier in the year in July, it was created because of iRacing.
Yeah, it was created because of iRacing. Like we talked about earlier on in the broadcast, I mean, this went from a track that was formulated back in 2021 for the... It's been so long since I watched this because I'm not going to go back and watch it, but the eNASCAR iRacing Invitational Pro Series, I think I got that right.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Right. But
you're
back
right.
then, obviously, COVID times, they wanted some stuff to do, and then they came back with racing, but then they were still like, hey, let's do this midweek thing. Let's finish it off in 2021. So iRacing, NASCAR, the city of Chicago, we all knew they were in talks for a very long time about going street racing with the top 3 series, particularly the Cup Series, thinking about going internationally. But who knew we were going to be going to Chicago, you know, an area where we took out Chicagoland Speedway after 2019, with 2020 obviously not having a date. So, yeah, came with that. And then everybody was like, yo, this is awesome. It's so sick to see. The eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series went to it. That was fun to see. And then next thing you know, in 2022, they say, hey, guess what we're doing? Yeah, we're going street racing. And everybody lost their minds. What? Stock cars on street circuits? But like I said, people forgot. You know, the Pinty Series has been doing this for years. But with the next gen cars, Cup drivers, Xfinity cars, who knew it was going to be like this? And next thing you know, they formulated the event, and here we are. just weeks after the
That's
first ever
exactly right.
Chicago street course.
The rest, they say, is history. He's Jason Rockefeller. I am Wesley Outland. We're coming up on the top of the hour. We'll pause for 10 seconds of radio identification and be right back with you. The Chicago Street Race, the Northwest Gen4 Cup Series Fun League on the Community Radio Network. And if you're watching, this is iRacing on LSRTV.
Community Radio Network, WCRN 87.9 FM, Clayton, Garner, Raleigh, North Carolina, USA. We are CRN.
Welcome back to the virtual Chicago Street Race course on the Community Radio Network. I am Wesley Outland. We have Jason Rockefeller alongside. Charles Wooten is in the house. Glad to have him back again handling our production. And again, Jason, I'm understanding that Ryan Bloom crashed during the commercial break.
Yeah, it looked like, I don't know what happened right there with the 25 machine of Ryan Bloom. Hit the wall really hard. You see some damage on the right rear of that car. As you see him, the quarter panel looks to be crushed up right there. Probably more than likely hit the wall on exit just by the look of it, because that looks like a nice right rear contact with the outside wall. Probably spun the tires, and from what we're hearing in our ears, yes, that is what happened exactly to my point. So Ryan Bloom tank slaps the outside wall off one of the right-handers, or left-handers, I should say.
All right, thank you for that update again. And no caution, by the way. Sometime between lap number 19 and 28 will be the time the yellow flag will fly. We'll find out when that will be, as we're probably about less than 5 laps away from that window opening for a chance of a caution. But right now, all still green. Sean Brightsman is the leader. We're watching now Robert Gamble in the Lowe's colors of the 54. He's in the second spot, but he's 8 seconds back to the leader, Sean Brightsman. And Jason, looking now at Ryan Bloom, he is 11 seconds back. At one time, he was 3 seconds back to Sean Brightsman, and he's now fell back to third as well with the damage on the 25.
Yeah, just hard contact there with both the right front fender, left front fender, and the right rear quarter panel for him. And Robert Gamble's been doing a really, really nice job all night long. Sean Brightsman's been doing one hell of a job all night long for him. I mean, that car is just flying right now. You know, you see him all over the place. I believe he is driving what you call the chroma key car, Wesley.
Yes.
Obviously, I noticed the Peter Max car, one of the best schemes probably in NASCAR history, arguably. I mean, just so colorful. I mean, look at that thing on the racetrack. I know it's not the exact model that the Monte Carlo had at the time. I think the car was ran back in 2000 at the Charlotte All-Star race.
97.
That's what it was. But yeah, that car is just absolutely beautiful. I mean, look at it. It's vibrant. You don't see many cars like that look like that today, Wesley.
That's right. Yeah, beautiful looking piece of machinery right there. And I'm understanding Frank Harris just walloped the wall big time. He might be crab walking cattywampus on the chassis. Maybe Charles can get a replay for us, as he is way, way off the pace on the number 11 of Frank Harris. And here's a replay in 4K Ultra HD. Charles, it's so good to have you back. Jason, analyze this for us. Right in front of the leader, might I add, Sean Brightsman.
Yeah, well, yeah, he hits it right here down into turn number 2. We're going to take a look. I think he just overshoots it.
This is going to turn 3 and 4. Oh.
Yeah, you cannot hit the brakes with these things and then automatically start turning. That's basically what happened when Frank Harris tried to hit the brakes and also started turning really hard at the same time. And it creates wheel lockup. The tire, you're not going to turn if you're locking up the brakes and trying to make a turn right there. So, I mean, that's ultimately what happened to 11 of Frank Harris going into turn 2.
Great piece of driving there by Frank Harris after hitting that Armco barrier. Continuing along here. Lap number 16, as working off of turn number 12 is the leader. Of course, Ryan Bloom storming down to the start-finish line here off of turns 11 and 12. Here he comes back to start-finish. And right now, I'm about to put another lap on the board, lap 16. Now, you know what? If I remember correctly, Jason, the start-finish line is actually not where time and scoring is. I don't know if they per se count this lap. They, obviously, I think it's, what is it, off of turn 10 and into turn 11 is where timing and scoring is, but the flag stand is off of turn 12 back to turn 1.
Yeah, the timing and scoring for this, when it comes to qualifying here on iRacing, actually is at the start-finish line. But for what they did with the Chicago Street Course, they used turns 9 and 10 as the timing point line to complete a lap, just so they can keep the flow of the cars moving more. That's how it is at most road courses. I know the IndyCar does that a lot. I've been an IndyCar fan for a very long time. They do that on a lot of tracks. And then NASCAR kind of adopted it too. They do it down, I believe, the back straightaway after the S's at Sonoma and some other places as well throughout their road course schedule. I forget where the Rovals is, but I know that multiple road courses in qualifying, their timing and scoring line is somewhere else on the racetrack, about 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah, the Roval is right at the flag stand at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It looked to me, if I'm looking at my timing and scoring from STK correctly, that it looks like he is just crossing the timing loop now, because he just said that he went on lap 17. And now he's working off of turn number 10, 11, and coming to turn number 12 now, Jason, and he is approaching the flag stand. So it looks like they are counting the scoring loop, actually where NASCAR does, and Sean Brightsman's coming to pit road here.
Yeah, this is not Sean Brightsman, I don't believe, right here. I think this is Frank Harris.
This is Frank Harris.
Yeah, the Frank Harris.
Yes, but even Frank Harris is doing the same thing too. Yeah.
Frank Harris, heavy damage there on the left and right front fenders right there on that car. That thing looks like it was just at your local demolition derby. He'll come into the pits this time, probably take 4 tires, fuel. He'll take that fast repair right there. But most of these other guys as well, really just struggling here tonight.
Well, that was wheel hopping on the right front there for Chris White, the Indianapolis winner for the trucks on Monday night. He sits in the top 5. By the way, there is 8 cars on the lead lap. We've had James Vining pit again. This is his 3rd time pitting. Gary Nichols is on pit road. Everyone else has pitted once, including Chris White, Toby Ritters, and Frank Harris. And Jason, Sean Brightsman, Robert Gamble, Ryan Bloom, and Stephen Paulison, top 4, have not pitted yet.
Yeah, and I don't expect them to pit for probably another handful of laps. They could be waiting for the competition caution. I am, I've never obviously driven this track. I don't know what the tire wear looks like or not, but I have to say, if it really was something, it varies, because you're seeing guys go from 1 minute 31 second laps to 1 minute and 43 second laps, and then the next lap they'll run only 2 seconds slower than what their fastest lap was. So it really just depends on how fast you get around this track, what you do with it, and how much fuel you're burning up as well.
Thanks to our coverage of iRacing, broadcast coverage on CRN. It is proudly presented by the Stock Car Racing Team Game and the Russ Wiles Agency Group Incorporated. All of this going on again as we are right now a couple of laps, so a half a lap away, if we will. There's Sean Brightsman. And we are awaiting him to cross the scoring loop. And when he does, sometime between lap 19 and 28, Jason, the pit window will, well, not the pit window, but the competition caution will happen here.
Yep, between lap 19 to 28. So now we're in that window. We'll just have to see when the competition caution comes out. It's going to be interesting to see, because, I mean, if you're Sean Brightsman, you can risk coming to pit road, taking tires right now, because you're the leader. And then you'll have the competition caution. But we'll have to see where everybody else pits. Obviously the top 4 have not pit. Robert Gamble hasn't really gained anything on the 46 machine, so maybe he could just pit and then stay out once the caution comes out. But, I mean, it's really just a race between him and Sean Brightsman from what it seems. I'm interested to see when they do restart here, Wesley, if Robert Gamble does, in fact, have anything for Brightsman.
Sean Brightsman continuing to be the leader in that Chroma Key car. There you see Gamble crossing the line. Robert Gamble up to 2nd. 11.5 seconds back to Sean Brightsman. Ryan Bloom is third, 40 seconds or 37 seconds back to the leader, the 25 machine. There he is right there on course. As I think, honestly, as we approach lap number 20, when they come to the line this time by, they are waiting for that caution flag, for that competition yellow to kind of sort everything back up, get everybody bunched up again, and get ready for a restart, Jason.
Yeah, more than likely. Like we talked about, with everybody who stayed out right now with Brightsman, Gamble, Bloom, Paulson. I mean, it's just a waiting game right now. Only 5 cars on the lead lap, so we'll have to see how that goes. And, one car locking up right in front of Ryan Bloom. That looks to be the 8 of Gary Nichols. Almost could have caused a detrimental moment for Ryan Bloom into the turn 2 barriers. We saw earlier on in the race, Toby Ritters had a huge collision with Frank Harris, sent him up off the ground right there in turn number 4. So hopefully we don't see any of that more tonight.
Yeah, what a great save right there that was, as we're seeing a couple more cars dropping off the pace. Looks like Ryan Bloom trying to go around the 8 machine of Nichols. Gary Nichols already 5 laps down. James Vining 3 laps down. If the caution was to come out, when it does, the free pass will be given to the legend of Frank Harris, who kind of had a subpar start to this race at the Chicago Street Course, if you will, Jason. Right now, 1 lap down to the number 6 position.
Yeah, Frank is just doing an all right job right now. And here we're looking at Stephen Paulson. He's been doing a good job as well tonight. He's had to come into the pits no time, so it's very nice to see Steven doing a really good job out here in this number 58 iRacing Chevy Monte Carlo. A lot of these guys, though, too, Wesley, we talk about it week in and week out with all of these guys here in the Northwest Division coming in from doing the GT3 stuff to now the Gen 4 stuff. This is just experience, man. This is for fun, yes, but they can take all this experience, and you best dang well sure they're going to put it into their rest of their Northwest seasons here, whether it be the trucks, whether it be the fixed setup series presented by Click It RV. We will have to see, obviously, I talked about continuously, drivers like Toby Ritters, Frank Harris. Those are 2 drivers who have completely used every single week since we went on break for the fixed setup series, to just really learn. And I expect Toby Ritters to come back, do great things. I expect the same thing out of Frank Harris, maybe Stephen Paulson. We'll have to see when we return after Labor Day.
Big thanks again to Click It RV, as the Click It RV Fixed Setup Series will return on Labor Day, week after Labor Day, September 6th, I believe is the correct date. And I'll tell you what, Jason, I enjoy this fun series. I love the fact that they're giving these guys the opportunity to compete in some other cars besides just the truck or cup or B series Xfinity fixed cars like we see on Wednesday night. We saw the RGL GT3 series. I really enjoyed those cars. I know you had a ball with them as well. And now we're seeing what this Gen 4 car program will provide. And I know the car numbers are not what they normally are for the points races or regular season schedule, but hopefully this is something that will entice them to come back in the near future for the next summers for these fun leagues and participate in them for sure.
I tell you what, and here's a good idea that I have, and hopefully when the admins and whatnot go back and watch this, and maybe they hear about our ideas possibly. I got a bright idea possibly. I have an idea that I think just because they shelved the Cup car after last season and brought back the Xfinity Series car, I think they should keep the trucks, because we all know the trucks is the premier series of the Northwest Division. We all
That's
know
exactly
that.
right.
We've known
That's
that
right.
now for the last couple of years. How about we shelve the Xfinity car after this year, and for the second tier series, we just keep rotating. Maybe bring these cars to a series. They're not the Xfinity car, but they have less downforces, just like the Xfinity car. They have way more horsepower. By way, I mean like almost 500-700 more horsepower, for God's sakes. These things have 1,000 horsepower, baby. So take these cars. I think if you implement them into the fixed series, because, these are fixed cars, obviously, I think that you could make a good league. I mean, we only have 9 cars here tonight, but imagine if we had 25, 35, 40 guys
That's right.
running these cars.
on a weekly basis, not only is it fun, it's enjoyable, it's hard to drive, but because of it being hard to drive, because of the horsepower, the downforce, it makes these guys all better drivers, which can help them with their sim career, it can help them with their real career, and obviously it can help them progress in the Northwest Division. So that's my take on the Gen 4 car, honestly.
I love it. I agree with you. I like that. Sean Brightsman still leading, by the way, 22 of 30 laps. I'm sorry, 22 of the 45 laps. About to come up on halfway is what I was trying to say right now as the laps continue to tick away here on the streets of Chicago. And again, you know, it might be cool if they come up with a new series like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it would be cool because, like I said, I mean, we shelved the Cup car after last season. I mean, we might keep the Xfinity car as far as I'm concerned after this season for the, you know, the Click It RV Fixed Setup Series, and we could still have it be titled the same thing. Maybe just add a little bit of a Gen 4 at the end of it or something like that. But hey, it's still the same thing, just a different car. And I think it would be really cool to see, like I said, experience, fun. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to see 40 of these guys run some of everybody's favorite paint schemes from the early 2000s into the late 2000s? I mean, it would just be so cool to see, you know? And these cars are just so fun to drive. They perform really at their best on mile and a halves. I mean, look at the racing we saw last week at Atlanta between Toby Ritters, Ryan Bloom, Sean Brightsman. That was just 3 cars for the lead for 25 laps. Imagine if we had that with 40 cars on mile and a halves. Imagine short tracks, super speedways. You can't bump draft with these things. And it makes it all the much more technical side of it because you can't do things like bump drafting. You can't do things like get into the corner super hard like you can with the Cup car because of how much, you know, more braking support they have compared to these cars. It's just, this car makes it all the much more special, and it's been one of the best things that we've seen on iRacing recently.
We're watching any moment now. Within 20 laps to go, the yellow flag has not came out yet. We were told somewhere between lap 19 and 28 is when the yellow flag will fly. The only person that knows is our director in our ear, Charles Wooten, which, by the way, it's great to have him back. Had some little internet issues on my end, Jason. You know, we had some pretty severe weather come through the area yesterday and on the night before on Monday, and I'm wondering if it might have messed up the internet just a little bit. So I went out and reset the modem, rehooked it, replugged it, put in the Ethernet cable, and hopefully things are going well now. Got the hamster wheel turning at full blast. So Sean Brightsman is now the leader, 13 and a half seconds over Robert Gamble. And I'm understanding that the competition caution is being called now right before lap number 25 and 24. And the yellow flag will fly here as, Jason, they cross the start-finish line for lap 24. And that will wrap them up here for the first 24 laps. Jason, before we go to break, your take of the first 20-plus laps of the Chicago Street Race, a new era for the LSRTV Northwest family.
Yeah, chaos and survival. That's about it right now. So we'll have to see how the second half of this race goes. Obviously, Sean Brightsman, very, very strong so far. Maybe Robert Gamble or somebody else possibly will have something for him here after the restart.
Well, we're going to go to a commercial break. We're going to go side by side, though. You're not going to miss a thing. Pit stops, no doubt, will be coming up for drivers like Brightsman, Gamble, Bloom, and Paulison, and even others. Free pass will go to Frank Harris to put him back on the lead lap, and we'll reset him for the final 20 laps at the Chicago Street Race. We're back with more in a moment.
At Click It RV, we know there's a lot of heritage and history at this location. RV sales and service has been part of this community for decades. We knew there was an incredible opportunity here, but to see where we've come in just a year is incredible. None of it would be possible without the patronage and support from this community. So whether it be a more convenient and accessible service drive, a fully stocked parts department, or this amazing sales facility, what drives this team daily is making sure our customers leave here with the best possible experience.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Pit stops are underway. Welcome back to the Chicago Street Race. Again, caution out on lap number 24, and Sean Brightsman in first as the leader. Jason, he will exit first as the leader.
Yeah, and it's been really interesting to see how Sean Brightsman just continuing to lead. Dominated Phoenix practically. I believe it was flag to flag, maybe all but one lap.
Yes, caution free. Yep.
Caution free.
Hey, and by the way, Jason, you're talking about stats. Listen to this. This is the first caution we've had of the Gen 4 series, and it had to be a competition yellow, sir.
Hey, it ain't a caution in my book. It's not natural, man. It ain't natural. That's what they say. Listen, it's just like stage racing, man. Those cautions, they ain't real cautions. We all know,
right,
why they're utilized and whatnot. But, it's interesting. So maybe we'll get a natural caution here within the next 2 weeks. But, hey, due to the competition caution, this is going to present these guys an opportunity to go with Sean Brightsman. So maybe Robert Gamble, Ryan Bloom, somebody else has something for him.
Yeah, man, what a great run he's got right now. Sean Brightsman's doing a really, really good job currently in the top spot. And I was wishing we could be able to bring him up here in the broadcast booth, but unfortunately we don't occupy our TeamSpeak broadcast communications on Wednesday night like we do on Monday night, where James Vining is our pit reporter. And well, for the most part, we'll get ready to reset here. So Sean Brightsman is the leader. 25 laps into this race, working lap 26. They'll probably work their way to the line off of turns 10, 11, and 12 and get the one-to-go indication when they come to the flag stand, no doubt this time by. Sean Brightsman is the leader. Robert Campbell is in second. Ryan Bloom is third. Stephen Paulison is fourth. Chris White is fifth. That is your top five, Jason, with now currently 6 cars on the lead lap, and you got the bottom 5.
Yeah, Frank Harris, 6th here tonight after some hard contact with Toby Ritters, who resides in 7th right now. Gary Nichols, 5 laps down, currently in the pits. He is sitting in the 8th spot. And James Vining, the Catman, we call him, one who started all the chaos, as we say. He's 9th, and then William Fletcher, 28 machine. He's 10th. Did not turn a lap here tonight, so he is not here at the moment, and that is your top 10 here tonight.
That's the way it stands as the lights will go off on the safety car. And we should get ready to set them back up for a restart. Jason Rockefeller, I'm Wesley Outland. Charles Wooten is working on the production on the broadcast coverage. On behalf of Rocket Racing Media, iRacing, LSRTV, and the Community Radio Network, we welcome you to coverage of round number 3 of the Non-Points Northwest Gen 4 Fun Cup Series. Tonight on the streets of Chicago. Lights off on the safety car. Getting ready to come back to green. And we've always said this, Jason, even in the regular races we cover for road courses, the restarts after competition cautions are always entertaining because you never know what we're going to see when we come to green.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we could see somebody like Frank Harris just overshoot the corner possibly, like he did on the very first opening lap, and dive it in and wreck the field. We could see Sean Brightsman have a lockup. We could see Ryan Bloom try something crazy. Any one of these guys right now can win as far as I'm concerned. Because there's obviously still 19 to go. We'll resume with 18. Sean Brightsman's been the man on a mission today, but Robert Gamble probably has a bigger mission than him right now. He very well could be able to overtake Sean. I talked about earlier in the broadcast, Sean, winner at Mid-Ohio just a handful of months ago for the Northwest Click It RV Fixed Series. And Robert Gamble, one of the guys started the GT3 Series here in these last few weeks, won at Spa. And he says to us, he knows the road courses. They're his thing, man. So we'll have to see. This could be a battle between two of the road course specialists.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to enunciate what the name of that track was again. I was.
Listen, I'm a racing guy, man. I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Spa.
Yeah,
it was a spa.
Yeah, I'm going to the spa.
I took him to the spa.
I went to the spa to get my nails done. You know, had myself a nice steam bath. It was nice. I went to the spa.
Okay, TMI there with our color analyst there. Oh, let's try it again.
Oh
It'll be lap number 27 of 45. Under 20 laps to go. It'll be 18 remaining, by the way, when they come back to the Geico restart zone. That pace car is going to accelerate, pick up speed, get the heck out of the way, makes the right-hand turn onto the pit lane instead of the left-hand turn, as we always call it. They're making their way back to the Geico restart zone, back to the flag. 18 laps to go. Everybody bunched up tighter than a lid on a pickle jar. It'll be the whole shot to Brightsman. He'll send it off, Sean, in a turn number 1. Jason Brightsman quickly up in front. Gamble right there in tow with him. Bloom to third, and here comes Paulison to battle back as they work through turns 2 and 3.
Down to turn 2, now down all the way down South Lakeshore Drive, heading for 3 and 4. Robert Gamble's going to have a little bit of a tow off him. Who's going to get through turn 4 and 5 the quickest, the cleanest, and the nicest through the corners? Robert able to close up a little bit, loses a little bit of ground through 5, and Sean now gets out to almost a 1-second gap as they head down South Columbus Drive.
I got to wonder, Jason, do you think Brightsman, Gamble, Bloom, and Paulison are going to be able to make this race on one pit stop like we saw at the competition caution?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they went all the way to lap 20-something with not pitting, and obviously now we have 18 laps to go, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind they have plenty of fuel to make it all the way to the end. Their tires will be screaming for sure, but there's no reason for them to pit except race it out and have to see if Robert Gamble, Ryan Bloom have anything for Sean Brightsman, who has been practically mistake-free all night long.
Well, as that happens, Sean Brightsman about to come to the line and put lap number 28 on the board. I'll be honest with you, Jason. This was actually a very comfortable, decent restart. No calamity like we saw on the green flag start of things.
Yeah, no calamity at all. I mean, on the very first start, we had 3 wide. We had guys wrecking each other. It was crazy. But we've already seen guys get out to over a second gap in between each other. The highest right now, Stephen Paulson being back by 2.2 seconds back from Ryan Bloom, who resides in third, Stephen fourth, as they head down Lakeshore Drive into 4. A lot of guys just still learning this racetrack, trying to just have some fun with this car. You see Chris White, one of the guys who wrecked earlier. He's trying to run down Stephen Paulson right now, currently about 0.6 seconds back. We'll have to see if he has anything for the driver of the 58.
On board with Chris White, Indianapolis winner on Monday night, picked up his 16th career win of the Northwest Series and his 317th career start on Monday. Right now sitting comfortably in the top 5. Brightsman, Gamble, Bloom, Paulison, White, top 5. That's the way it stands as they'll work their way around the streets here at the street course in Chicago. And you know what's so cool, Jason, and we've said this before, it mimics what the real track looks like. Look at the skyline. Look at the skyscrapers. Look at Grand Park, where the Bulls and the Cubs and the Blackhawks all celebrate whenever they win championships in the world sports program that they play for. It's amazing, just the signage and the work. Still on board with Chris White as he gets ready to work his way back to start finish, or get ready to start another lap. My apologies. has done with this iRacing layout. Phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, it's still just crazy to think that I mean, who knew that if you would have told me 10 years ago that a track that was formulated on iRacing, now, obviously, like I said, minus the fact that we all knew the rumors about NASCAR wanting to go street course racing, this was definitely to test it out. If you would have told little me 10 years ago, 12-year-old me, you would have said to me, NASCAR is going to go street racing in the middle of Chicago next to the harbor, next to, I believe it's Lake Michigan. I would have told you that you're absolutely out of your mind and you're crazy. I would have told you to probably check yourself before you wreck yourself, as we say. And I mean, it's just crazy to think the fact that we're sitting here calling this. It's just crazy to think the fact that we went street racing in the top 3 series for the Xfinity and the Cup Series just a handful of weeks ago. And we're probably, I think we're doing it again probably next week. We'll have to see. Obviously, the 2023 schedules have not been released. But if I had to guess, we'll probably go back to Chicago. Maybe we'll go to another street course. It's just a great way because despite the weather, despite the issues, despite the feedback from the politics, the people, and whatnot, Chicago completely just kept pushing with the NASCAR, advertisements. And look at where they were. Despite the rain, it was an absolutely amazing event for the Cup Series. We saw first-time winner since, I believe it was the 60s.
Since the 60s, yep.
And it's crazy the fact that a first-time driver came into the series, and obviously Shane Van Gisbergen is a very decorated V8 supercar driver back in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
It's just crazy the amount of doors that this opened. It opened up the doors for us possibly going internationally. It opened up the doors for us going street racing around the country. New York, Detroit, Austin, maybe LA. We don't know. There's so many talks that NASCAR is having. I mean, the 2024 schedule is just up in the air right now. We don't know if we're going back here. We don't know if we're going somewhere else.
Jason, I got to use a line. And I want to go off subject here, but I got to use a line that one of my colleagues in the CRN football broadcast booth said tonight in regards to our football team, the Comets. And it was, never forget where you come from. Know where you started, but also know that you have to adapt and move on to a new era. And, I see a lot of people bashing the sport, and it breaks my heart because you know this, Jason, and I know you're before we ever pick up a microphone, we are fans first. I am a fan of iRacing. I'm a fan of NASCAR. I'm a fan of short tracks. Dirt. Now, I will say that dirt racing is very more exciting than pavement. Charles will agree with me and say amen, brother. I know he will. But even on that occasion, there has been dirt races that have been snooze fests. I've called many a boring race on the dirt. So it's just a product of what you get, whether it's with the track, the conditions, the drivers, their talents.
Cars.
If you got new drivers versus rookie drivers, veteran drivers. And by the way, Jason, answer your question. Michigan next week for the Gen 4 Fun Series, and Homestead the final 2 weeks of the schedule.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see where we go for those these next 2 weeks with Michigan and whatnot. It's going to be fun. These cars have been, just a handful to drive for these guys, and they have a very, very challenging next 2 races coming up with the big tracks.
And by the way, they're fighting for something in this Gen 4 Fun Cup Series. There is a pair of Aztec, Aztec Sim Sport racing shoes, Jason. Just like race car drivers in racing shoes, there's sim shoes available for grabs to the champion.
Well, that was the first thing I've ever heard of. That's crazy.
Yeah. Aztec Sim Sports shoes up for grabs to the champion. Let's check in with our producer director, Charles Wooten. It's good to hear you back in the voice again.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick note. I hear myself echoing. But anyway, you were right. There can be boring races on dirt, unless the exception to this rule is if you are at Bowman Gray Stadium, because there'll be somebody fighting, someone wrecking each other, and they'll make the local news.
But see, this is where it's the Achilles heel for me. And Jason, with 13 to go, obviously Sean Brightsman's still running away with this thing with 8-second lead over Ryan Bloom as you see him in second. In my opinion, and Bowman Gray Stadium is 100 miles from where I live at in the Carolinas, Jason. It is an entertainment. It is entertaining. It is a thrill show. In my opinion, and I've said this, Bowman Gray is not racing. Has there been races at Bowman Gray that are entertaining around the football field? Yes. But for the most part, it is a clown, dog, and pony show. I don't want to make anybody mad by saying that, but in my opinion, Bowman Gray Stadium is all about rock'em sock'em robots. And, look at what Burt Myers did throwing a dang thing of stage right on Chris Fleming's car the other night.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see that at other tracks.
No, you definitely wouldn't, and Myers always obviously having, a lot of rivalries there at the racetrack over the past few years. For anybody watching this, after our conclusion of tonight's broadcast here on LSRTV and the CRN Radio Network, go on YouTube and search up Bowman Gray Stadium, fights, arguments, tempers, whatever. That place is an entertainment business, basically. And I mean, yes,
Sure.
Wesley, you were absolutely right. Great racing there about 50% of the time, but the other 50% of the time it is a lot of fisticuffs, a lot of arguments, a lot of tempers, a lot of families getting involved. I've seen some stuff there that I myself am not very pleased about as a fan. I know a lot of people find it entertaining, but when you look at the racing industry, you don't want to be labeled obviously as a place where, it's just fighting. This is not racing, and God bless the people
Absolutely.
over at, Bowman Gray Stadium. They do one heck of a job over there. The events, the entertainment they put on. I mean, it's a staple in the NASCAR history books. I mean, we raced on there. Heck, that was like the first, one of the first stadiums we really raced on besides Soldier Field, right here.
That's right.
So it's interesting to see how far they've come. And it's funny to see how far they haven't come from most of the fisticuffs being thrown there as well.
That's right. Let's go back to on track. Obviously, things have kind of settled down. Sean Brightsman, I've got to echo Charles for some reason. Sean Brightsman, the leader. Ryan Bloom in second. Robert Gamble sitting in third. Stephen Paulus in fourth. Chris White is your top five. With 11, now make it 10 laps to go when Sean Brightsman comes to the line. Jason, 2 out of 3 for Sean Brightsman. And, man, this guy is just phenomenal. And can we talk about his throwback car real quickly, Charles, if we can go back to the leader. I know we're showing Toby Ritters in the Winston No Bull throwback, which, by the way, is a throwback to Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer. But, Jason, I love that first off, he ran this car last week for me after winning Phoenix. But then we couldn't see the car, and he said, I'll do it again. I'll bring it back again because I like the car. Maybe it's a good luck charm for him.
Yeah, it possibly could be. I mean, he did win week one with no chroma key or Peter Max car, what I call it. But man, this, like we talked about earlier on, this car is just so beautiful. I have this die-cast car in 1/64 scale. I absolutely love it. It's beautiful. I really wish I could have got to see this car race in person. There's a lot of paint schemes in my life that previously to 2001, before I was born, gosh, I feel young compared to everybody, but there's just so many cool paint schemes I wish I could have got to see. I wish I could have got to see the classic neon orange and petty blue 43 car. I wish I could have got to see the silver and black number 3 car. There's so many iconic schemes over the years, and I talked about this earlier on another broadcast I did earlier tonight with my buddies after I was done, and I said, fun fact, my favorite, and a lot of people don't know this scheme because it's not one that's talked about like ever. My favorite scheme of all time, and it's a really weird color combo, but it's the Ritz colors, I guess you could say, is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2005 Oreo Ritz number 81 car that he drove in the NASCAR Busch Series. I don't know why. I think it's because I grew up with that car, racing it on the old EA Sports game for NASCAR 2006 Total Team Control. but that is my favorite paint scheme of all time. I love the spikes on it, the stripes. It just looks so dang good, I think, even though it's not your typical Oreo Ritz colors.
Yeah, and who will ever forget the USA 100 Olympics at Atlanta, 100th USA Games at Olympics, and Earnhardt had the USA car in '96. 97, he had this car. 98, he had the orange car. Remember the Wheaties car that you were referring to? And then, what is it? I'll never forget. Was it 95? I think it was 95. The silver number 3 with the red numbers. That was always from one hot. I think it was from. That was actually
one hot
night at Charlotte. Yeah.
Or no, it wasn't. It was that was the regular silver and black machine. I believe. I think the silver and black car was run in the
The
All-Star
silver and red
race,
car was for the 25th anniversary of Richard Childress Racing.
Yes.
Yes, for the 25th anniversary of RCR, that was the car that he drove in the Winston. Beautiful looking car. Again, but I will say this: the Wrangler car when he ran the Winston. Remember when he drove the Wrangler Goodwrench car? Was that '99? I think it was, or 2000. And we got pit stops, by the way. Ryan Bloom is having to pit. He can't go the distance on one pit stop. He is going for a money stop here.
Yeah,
We're talking about throwback colors and whatnot.
He thinks that I think he thinks that he might be able to do something. Maybe he just wants some tires. He spins out on pit road. Talk about cold
And there ain't going to be
tires.
no cautions either. There ain't going to be no yellow flags either. Ryan Bloom spinning on the pit road exit. Talk about cold tires, Jason. As you mentioned, man, he ain't got those. He just ain't got that car, the tires warmed up yet.
Yeah, that's just a product of just really the cold tires, the horsepower. Look
Whoa!
at the wall. Oh, it's gonna be hard.
Flares the wall. He's off the track. He's off the reservation. You can't see him. He's in the trees. Oh my! He just had to take a tow. I think he just said, "I'm done." Here's a replay. Watch what happened to Ryan Bloom. What do you think, Jason? Oh, my. Can we go from another angle where we can see him? Wow, in the Armco barrier.
We'll have to see if we can get another replay from it. Here we go. We'll have to see down the long straightaway here.
Jason, that looks like the angle where Kyle Busch and Noah Gragson crashed into the Armco barriers in Chicago. Right there in the Armco. Look at this. Oh,
that's a hard hit.
It's kind of where they crashed at.
Yeah, they crashed over, and I believe that was off turn 5. I think heading to 6 is where they crashed. But man, that was a hard hit going all the way down into turn number 4. Just unfortunately, still, Wesley, you talked about cold tires and the horsepower added onto it. So that's the thing about these cars compared to the Cup, the Xfinity, the Truck. Cold tires really matters with these cars because you have so much horsepower to deal with. There is little to no grip with these cold tires. You put cold tires on these things, you go try to run a hot lap, it's dang near impossible because of the horsepower and the cold tires with no grip. And it's basically like putting a sheet of ice underneath these things.
By the way, I just want to let you know that it's actually entitled, it was in the 2000 Winston. It is the Peter Max All-Star car. I think you said Peter Max, and I always said the word chroma key. But it is the Peter Max All-Star car that you're referring to. That is the throwback car that Sean Brightsman's driving of Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Yeah, just such a
2000.
Beautiful paint scheme. Yep, such a beautiful paint scheme right there. Obviously, with the late Dale Earnhardt. I mean, there's just so many iconic schemes that Earnhardt, or just the Earnhardts in general, anyone from Kerry to Dale Jr. to Dale Sr. Even now, Jeffrey Earnhardt obviously returned back to the number 3 at Talladega just 1 year ago with Larry McReynolds, and man, I think we were all kind of hoping he was going to win that. Dang, so close, second place. But man, the Earnhardts have ran a vast amount of schemes over the last few years here. And it's really cool to see, obviously, everybody showing support to the man in black, the Intimidator, all the schemes he ran. And it's always so cool to see the schemes too, Wesley, that aren't the black and silver number 3. Sean
That's
Brightsman coming into the pits this time.
Wow. I was wondering if they were going to be able to make these pit stops to the finish after pitting at the caution. I guess the question is no, Jason. They're having to pit. We just saw Brian Bloom pit, then he had his bad luck. Here's the deal. Robert Gamble is 23 seconds back. Okay, 5 seconds. He's reeling in Sean Brightsman. Gamble's going to come away with the lead.
Yeah,
where is Paulison going to end up? Will he run him down? I don't think he will. Brightsman's going to come out in second.
There's
right
Steven
alongside Paulison.
Right,
wow.
Yeah, so I think Sean filled up with fuel maybe to kind of feel a little bit of handling. Got 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles, and now that he's 5 seconds back from the race lead, I expect Rob to stay out. There's no reason for him to come into the pits, really, besides the fact that he doesn't have a fresh set of Goodyear. Oh, no! And Sean Brightsman hits the wall at a turn number 4. Shouldn't be that badly damaged. It looked like it was about a flat scrape to the driver's side door. That is not what you want to see if you're Sean Brightsman. That's all part of cold tires, Wesley.
Yeah, he didn't per se pancake the car into the fence, as you mentioned, but at least a Darlington stripe, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a lick, but it doesn't look like there's any kind of damage. And he's still flying right now. He has closed in on Robert Gamble under 3 seconds now from the leader. We'll have to see what happens with that. Maybe Rob will try to hold him off possibly.
Hey, Jason, by the way, you remember whenever he drove the Peter? Oh, wow. Gamble in the wall. The leader just wrecked. He's damaged the front end of his car, and this gives a mulligan and an attaboy back to Sean Brightsman to go back to the lead. Well, Gamble's car was already wrecked. Now he wrecks it more. No, he just got on the binders there. And Sean Brightsman read it, said, excuse me, coming through.
Wow.
Jason, if I remember correctly, that's where they had the big one over there in the street race for the Cup Series, right around that part of the track where the track got blocked.
Yeah, that was over by turn 11 where Kevin Harvick got a little bit of help, went around in front of the field, created a huge stack up right there, and allowed SVG and all those other guys too, and Justin Haley to just squeak right on by before the track got fully blocked. And unfortunately, that's what happened. Now look at Robert Gamble just struggling right now, trying to lift this thing to the finish line. Stephen Paulson probably going to pass him here in a few laps. Heavy damage to the front end of that 54.
And Jason, by the way, remember that Shane Van Gisbergen has been given the nod. He will be in action for the Cup Series at Indianapolis Road Course this Sunday at the Brickyard. And,
so fun.
And it is sounding like, from my friends at NASCAR, Jason, that this might be the final road course race at Indy for the Xfinity and the Cup Series as well.
Yeah, and it's a shame. But at the same time, a lot of people have been praying to go back to, the oval. I mean, and one person I bring up is Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin said it perfectly, and I absolutely agreed with him because I said it before he even said it on his podcast. If they just made the spoilers maybe a little bit bigger, slowed the cars down a tad at Indy, I think, for the Brickyard with these new next-gen cars due to the aeroducts and the way that the car is nowadays and how draft-dependent it is at these 1.5 to 2 mile ovals, you can create some really good racing there. A lot of what we used to see possibly, so I think they could do that possibly. I am a believer, and I think something cool that they could do. I always thought that they run the road course on Saturday and do a doubleheader and do the Brickyard 400 on Sunday evening as Frank Harris plows the wall at a turn 1. But I think it would be pretty cool to see that.
That was a battle for 4th and 5th, and Chris White says thank you. He'll move back to the number 4 spot. Chris White was one of the cars that looked really good in the first part of the race. Now he's about 28 seconds back to Sean Brightsman, who is the leader again. By the way, 12 seconds over Robert Gamble. Robert Gamble had a 5-second lead when Brightsman pitted, Jason. It's all gone now with 4 laps to go here on lap number 41.
Yeah, it's all gone for Robert Gamble, man. I mean, from everything that happened with him, we'll have to see, obviously, what goes on, with Robert Gamble the rest of these next 4, almost 3 laps to go. I mean, that car is absolutely destroyed, and Sean Brightsman just continuing to drive away further and further. And Chris White, you see him on your screen limping to the finish line practically as he's getting chased down by Frank Harris in the 11.
It is Sean Brightsman, the leader. Robert Gamble second. Stephen Paulus in third. Jason, with 3 to go, got to give props to Stephen Paulus. Man, what a run for him and Team Aerokinetics.
Yeah, been a great night for Stephen Paulson. He's really kept the car clean. I mean, I know there's only 9 cars out on this track, but for everybody to have some kind of damage, it's some kind of, I mean, maybe he did hit the wall, possibly when we weren't on his car. I mean, but if you just take from camera aspects from what we've seen tonight, every single driver in this field tonight has had an issue. Sean Brightsman hit the wall with the left side coming out of turn number 5. As far as I'm concerned, Stephen Paulson doesn't have one bit of damage to his car here tonight, and he's been driving the heck out of that thing, man. He's been doing a great job. He's not in the lead. He's 23 seconds back, but he's still got a really, really fast car.
No doubt, been consistent. Hey, by the way, speaking of that Peter Max car, throwback for Sean Brightsman, and it was in 2000 when he drove that car in the Winston. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jason, won the Winston in that race. His only Winston All-Star win in 2000.
Yeah, that was just such an amazing moment for the Earnhardts, and obviously Dale Jr. to share. One of my favorite moments of both father and son. How Dale was so happy, that he won that race and came right up to him and gave him a big hug. Him looking like the owner he was. I think he was out earlier in that race. That's why he was so quickly to change into his, I'm an owner uniform. If you want to put it that way, and it came up to Dale at the end of the race, gave him a big hug, and it was just such an iconic moment for the sport, especially for Dale Jr.
Sure did. Ready to bring this one to the finish. We're also coming up on the top of the hour. We'll pause for 10 seconds of network identification here at the Chicago Street Race, and the checkered flag is on the horizon.
Community Radio Network, WCRN 87.9 FM, Clayton, Garner, Raleigh, North Carolina, USA. We are CRN.
Just about less than 6 miles remain here. 4 miles remain for the Chicago Street Race, an inaugural edition for the Northwest Gen4 Fun Cup Series on the Community Radio Network and iRacing on LSRTV. Jason Rockefeller, Wesley Outland, Charles Wooten on producer directing, and Sean Brightsman is working his way, heading towards the white flag. This time around, the number 46 is looking to take the white flag as he makes these final turns. And again, Jason, all Sean Brightsman here tonight, even with the thrills and spills for all of these drivers. Sean Brightsman takes the white flag. He is coasting now to his final lap and 2 out of 3 wins in this fun series.
Yeah, heading through turn number 2. Been such a dominant performance all night long by Sean Brightsman. And even in the first week at Phoenix and last week at Atlanta, fast cars really all around. It seems as if he knows how to drive this machine right here, and he's looking forward to driving the next 2 races. It's fun. It's a learning experience for him, but sure enough, I mean, this has just been such a cool car to see on the racetrack. It's going to be cool, Wesley, and you finally get to see the Peter Max car go to victory lane.
I do. By request. By the way, Sean Brightsman, I think with this finish here, it's also going to put him right in the catbird seat to be the new points leader in this series. We don't per se have an official points tally, but I do know that Sean Brightsman was the winner at Phoenix, going to look to win this one here tonight at Chicago, and he was a runner-up last week. I believe it was at Atlanta? Atlanta, he was a runner-up?
Yep.
And Ryan Bloom again was the winner at Atlanta. And right now, Ryan Bloom with bad luck out of the race 8 laps down, or at least way mired in the back, and he is working his way on the final turns into turn number 10. Working now off turn number 11. Final swing around turn 11, come to turn 12, and checkered flag for Sean Brightsman. 2 out of 3 here in the virtual Windy City of the Chicago Street Race, and he is your winner. Now, Jason, we've got to wait 20 seconds for the second place man of Robert Gamble to cross the line. Here he comes. He'll finish second. By the way, at one time, he had about a 6-second lead over Sean Brightsman for his little hiccup there at the chicane. And look at Stephen Paulison with a top 3 finish. I'm proud of the 58.
Everybody has damage now, Wesley. I just saw the left front fender of that 58 machine. He's got damage. So not one person here tonight didn't escape without having some sort of damage.
And how about Toby Ritters? I want to give him some mad props as well. Toby Ritters, I believe he was 1 lap down whenever the race concluded. The 23 machine. Time of race, 1 hour, 16 minutes. As Toby Ritters is working his way around the course in the 6th position. I love his car, by the way. That's a Winston Noble throwback to Jimmy Spencer, Mr. Excitement Jimmy Spencer. And Jason, as Ritters works his way off the course, coming to the checkered flag, he has improved in weeks, months of late as well, for sure. The 23 has really been standing out lately.
Yeah, it's been really fun to see Toby use his craft and make it better and learn on it. You know, here is the last weeks have been provided to him with all the different cars, the different tracks and whatnot. I expect Toby Ritters to do big things when we go back racing for the Northwest Click.
Now, are we going to see it? Are we going to see it? We're going to see him burn it down, and hopefully the other cars are coming around the corner. And he like puts a bullseye at him, like literally bullseye at the start finish line. This is a perfect opportunity for Robert Gamble to get a kill shot, if you will, Jason. And he says, let's burn it down. Let's celebrate. Let's do some burnouts and donuts. Here come the cars around the corner. Let's have the Northwest High Five salute in the virtual Windy City of Chicago.
Yeah, we're still waiting to see anybody come off that final corner. Waiting to see, still see nobody. I don't know if we're going to see a Northwest Salute High Five, but I'm still waiting to see some more cars. Sean Brightsman starting to head towards turn 1 with the burnouts. Still nobody, though, so far. So maybe no Northwest Salute High Five.
They're coming. They're coming around the corner. Here they come. Here you go, nose to nose.
Uh-oh.
Sean Brightsman says, I'll take you head on. Gamble, Brightsman. Oh, wow.
Oh, one car.
Frank Harris says, I'm ready for liftoff. Look at this. He's on his side. I love it.
I think Frank Harris just killed about 30 virtual fans. Here
comes Ritters.
Oh,
Ritters is coming for Brightsman. Is he going to go for Gamble? No, he's going for Brightsman. Wow. Gotta love it. The Northwest High Five salute. We've always called it that since the series celebrates at the end of the night, and we hope you've enjoyed it as well. Here is the results tonight. We got a replay for you of the Northwest High Five salute. Watch this. We're going to go back and relive the High Five salute again. This is on board with Sean Brightsman with Toby Ritters coming at you.
Here it comes.
Listen to him rev the engine.
It's like waiting.
Wow!
It's like waiting. It's like waiting. It's like waiting in the wind. You're just waiting and waiting, and all of a sudden, here comes this ginormous plane, but instead, this 1,000 horsepower stock car coming at you, going.
Don't forget, 2 weeks from now, or actually 3 weeks from now, the season continues after the fun series break for the Northwest Click It RV Fixed Setup Series. They're our sponsor for the unofficial results here tonight. Sean Brightsman will pick up the win. Robert Gamble will finish in second. There you see the interval, 20.435 seconds for those that are listening on radio. between Brightsman and Gamble for first and second. Stephen Paulison will finish third. Chris White in the 47, another solid podium, or at least top 5 night for him, winning the trucks at Indy on Monday, will finish fourth. And Jason Frank Harris is the last truck on the lead lap. He'll finish in fifth.
Remaining cars, 1 lap down or more. Toby Ritter, 6th place tonight. Ryan Bloom, 7th. Gary Nichols finishes 8th. The Catman, James Vining, 9th. And William Fletcher, who did not make a start tonight, he'll round out your top 10.
And I remember next week it is on to the racetrack at Michigan and then the finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. Those are your final 2 races for the series. And, of course, coming up, podium interviews, Brightsman, Gamble, Paulison, as the Press Box Motorsports podcast show post-race is next. We don't know when that podcast will be back. Charles just recently got internet back, so coming back soon. That's all I'm going to say. Coming back soon. And we'll be back in a moment as we grab the top 3. Don't go anywhere. This is coverage of the Northwest Gen 4 Fun Cup Series on LSRTV and CRN, the Community Radio Network at Chicago. So a very fast Press Box Motorsports podcast show. Details coming soon when the return of the podcast will be. As Stephen Paulison unable to join us for post-race interviews, but I give props to the, of course, Aerokinetic Sim Team 58. He'll finish third here tonight. Let's go now to the runner-up, and that is Robert Gamble. Robert, man, you're enjoying the GT3 cars with the RGL program that you created during the Fun Series and starting to get a handle of this car, man. Pretty good, solid runner-up finish here on the streets of Chicago. Your take of the event.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I've had a couple of good runs in these cars, so they're a lot of fun. And yeah, it's a great series. Thanks, James Vining, for stepping up and putting it together. And Sean, an amazing race tonight. Ryan Bloom was also, he was bad fast, but I just had to wait till he ran into the wall. But yeah, no, it's a fun night all around.
Yeah, and Rob, obviously, congratulations. Tonight on a really good run. What the heck happened there before when you went off Michigan Avenue? You slammed the barriers while having a 6-second lead, man. What happened?
So I actually got the damage early in the run, like lap 2 after the pits. I hit the wall at turn 6. Ryan behind me hit the wall at turn 6. So that's where the damage came from. That second one, I didn't actually hit. I hit my brakes at the same point I always did, but the car decided, nope, I'm not going to stop. And so I slid past the turn. And then Sean, of course, he was I call him Sean Verstappen. He, I told him, I asked him, I'm like, I got on the mic. I said, Sean, I don't think you can make it on one stop. He's like, I'll pit. And he did, and still won.
The Sean Verstappen. Jason, I'm sorry he broke me. Oh, wow. Well, anyhow, I will say this, though, Robert, again, everybody got damaged in some shape or form in this race. Was it fun, or was it tough trying to figure this track out here for these 1,000 horsepower Cup cars?
They're a handful, and once you get a few laps on these tires, then it starts getting super slick. And I was at one point talking about how I couldn't get full throttle all the way. Like, you're going down the straightaway and you can't get to full throttle because if you do, you start to get loose. So they're a handful, but they really, the first few laps, they're really gripped up. So they're a lot of fun throughout the whole run. It's just managing it.
Well, Robert, final question, man. We'll let you thank your sponsors, and it's on to the road, off the road courses now, back to the racetracks, Michigan and obviously Homestead. Two unique racetracks. One's a 2-mile trioval. One is the kind of a miniature Indianapolis with the short chutes on 1.5 miles. What do you think we'll see with this car in the final penultimate races of the season?
I think you'll see two really good races. Michigan's a lot of fun. It's a fast track. It's got a lot of room, and then Homestead's is a different animal. So I still remember Justin Yee, who's a really good ARCA car driver, did a video for us one time, and I still remember the secrets he gave us. So hopefully, got my fingers crossed, I can do well there. Kinetics teammates, Frank and James and Steve, and
yes,
LSRTV, you guys do an awesome job. Love the coverage. Thank you very much. And Sean and Jeff for putting this wonderful league on. It's just an awesome league.
So actually, Aerokinetics Esports, Jason, finished second and third for Robert Gamble and Stephen Paulison. So mad props to them. Let's go to Sean Verstappen, as Gamble calls him, in victory lane. Sean Breitzman, 2 out of 3 wins, a runner-up finish also at Atlanta last week. And I love the Max Chroma Key car, Sean. Congratulations. Man, I will say sheer domination, but it really wasn't. You had your trials and tribulations to win here on the Chicago Street Race as well.
Yeah, overall great night. That was a lot of work, a lot of stress every lap. Surprised I did not hit the wall as hard as some other people, and that's kind of what helped me propel to the win, really.
Well, congratulations on your win tonight, Max Verstappen. I mean, Sean Breitzman, obviously coming home P1. And, we haven't seen these not next gen, but Gen 4 cars really on any road courses, and especially on a course they've never been on ever because, the course didn't exist before the car was done. But what was the hardest part about driving the Gen 4 on this street course here tonight?
Man, that's a great question. I mean, obviously the 1,000 horsepower doesn't help. You're on a street course, not normal, race asphalt or anything, different grip levels, but really it's just how bumpy it is. I mean, if you're offline just a little bit, that bump will then send you careening into a tire barrier or a concrete wall, one of the two. So I'd just say the bumpiness is probably the worst part of it.
John, what's your take of this series now? 2 out of 3 weeks, and you've got wins and a podium finish as well in both or all 3 races. And, you're going to tracks that you've also done pretty darn well at in the past at Michigan and in Homestead. And obviously, I know this is a fun series, but you want to haul the mail and be the overall inaugural champion for this deal, right?
Well, of course. I mean, I do want to win and win as much as I can, whatever I race in, and go for championships. But yeah, overall, it's a fun series. I'd just like to see more people out and give this thing a shot. Hopefully, obviously, being Chicago in a purchasable track that some people might not own, going to have a smaller field. But I look for Michigan, Homestead especially, to have hopefully some huge crowds. I'm really hoping we get some people out for it. If not, I'm a little worried about when our regular B fixed series comes back after this, and hopefully we still have the car count then for that.
Well, again, the fun series has been fun with the GT3 cars, and then, of course, with this is for sure. But definitely, it's got to get right back to focus on the Run 4 championship. no doubt. Obviously, the numbers for the Fun Series have not been what we normally have for the regular points events. I feel like whenever we get back to the points races for the Click It RV Fixed Setup Series, that the drivers are going to come back because it's not the fun leagues anymore. They're back in business, maybe.
I sure hope so. I hope everybody enjoyed the summer break and last couple weeks of the summer break, and everybody comes back strong. We're back up to 20 to 30 cars or more, and back up to that strong field as we push to the playoffs and the championship and all that. So I think everybody will definitely come out.
Jason, you got one more question for the winner, Sean Verstappen, Bridesman?
I don't know, man. You're just so dang fast. How do you do it?
I wish I knew, man. 20 years of doing this will help, but I will clear the air a little bit. Jeff came on the radio and said you should pit, and I was like, okay, I'll pit. Sure, why not? Let's give it a shot. And he's like, no, I was kidding. Don't pit. And then like 5 seconds, 10 seconds after, Rob mentioned it, and I said, okay, that's the man in second place that wants me to pit. I'll go for it. So I took him on the challenge.
Okay, so he wanted you to pit. It was kind of a challenge, basically.
Yeah, and
He's calling you out.
It's a fun series, right? Would I like to win? Yes, but racing against these guys, having fun battles on a course that I didn't get to do a lot of battling,
Okay.
to me would have been a little bit more fun for that portion. So it was well worth risking the win and battling with Rob and Steven there at the end if things could have worked out a little better for him.
Well, congratulations to you, Sean. Before we let you go, man, we want you to thank your sponsors for sure.
Yep, just got to thank Bites Boutique, everybody at LSRTV, Team LSRTV, Jeff, James Vining for putting this on and running the series, Ace Tech and Victa Boots, Ace Tech company that's sponsoring this championship prize for this 5-week series. And then just everybody here on the broadcast team at LSRTV, and then everybody at the Northwest Racing Series for coming out during our regular series and all that, and then everybody that comes out and supports the series. So appreciate it, guys.
So Sean Bridesman picking up the win there for sure. 2 out of 3 wins, and he's in victory lane. Another runner-up finish, of course, if you count the one in Atlanta. We'll get ready to go to Michigan next week, and then the finale at Homestead, Miami. We're going to go off the air. Jason Rockefeller, always fun working, my friend, getting better and better. Every week we enjoy working with each other. I like these cars. I'm ready to get back to the run for the championship. Your final take, the Chicago Street Race, sir.
It was so fun to see these cars on the Chicago Street Course, see how much brake you had to use, how much cold tires especially meant with the 1,000 horsepower underneath the engines. It's just so interesting to see these cars on a track that, they've never been on. But that's the great thing about iRacing, man.
It was a fun time for sure. And, of course, everyone enjoyed the streets of Chicago. Everybody had damage in one way or the other when it was all said and done. Sean Bridesman, or as Robert Gamble calls him, Sean Verstappen of our iRacing Northwest world, picks up the win here tonight on the streets of Chicago. That will wrap up our coverage for the week. Next week, we are back road course racing Monday night. We're at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, round number 19, as we're down to the final 3 races to the playoffs in the 10th season for the Northwest Truck Series, presented by Click It RV. And then, of course, next Wednesday night, back here with coverage of round 4, the penultimate race at Michigan. For Jeff Stabnow, Charles Wooten, Cody Deemers, everybody with Rocket Racing Media and iRacing on LSRTV and CRN, the Community Radio Network, with Jason Rockefeller. This is Wesley Outland. Congratulations again to Sean Bridesman, winner tonight on the virtual streets of Chicago.